Alright, good evening everybody, welcome to the stream. I appear to be having some hardware problems. Apparently I'm buffering. Hang on. Yeah, long pauses while I just have a look at what's going on here. Wow, the frame droppage is incredibly high. What's going on? Something hideously bad is happening. Okay, it seems to have resolved itself. Can anyone hear me? That's the big question right now. Am I audible? We shall wait and we shall see. Right, let me switch over to the game. 34% of my frames have been dropped already. That is extortionately high. Let me also head over here. So Discord, the notification should have gone up. Yep, there it is. And excuse me, buffered twice. Okay. Hopefully it's okay now. I will keep an eye on it. What am I looking for? I am looking for pinned messages. Is that the one? No, that's the one. Oh wait, we did that one. This is the one. Right. Good evening everybody, welcome to tonight's stream. Tonight we are going to be working not here. This is the Great Western franchise, so we're not going to be working over here. What we are going to be doing is working up. I'm going to try and do this without crashing the game. Follow the high-speed line along, up, along, up. This bit's definitely going to get rebuilt. Then I'm just going to go straight across there, along, straight up there, along. Over here, Wenning Pool Acidalia, which is where we started last time out as well. We're going to be building a little extra thing because I thought I'd done everything. Have you ever had a 4K stream go smoothly without any major problems? Yes, all the time. This isn't 4K. This is 1080 that I'm streaming in tonight. And that seems to be... Well, actually, no. That's not what seems to be the problem at all. I think what seems to be the problem is technology today just doesn't like me. If I sounded like I was in a foul mood earlier, it's because I was. The reason is, I had a bout of inspiration sort of yesterday and today to actually start working on a video project that I'd put on ice for a little while. Finally found the impetus to actually start working on it again. Sat down at my desk, felt really pumped, really excited about it. Spent about an hour working on it, felt really good, constantly saving, no problems there. And all I did was from Premiere, I went onto my browser, opened up a Google Doc, and started typing some editor's notes, which I thought would make my life easier. Finished typing the notes, went back to the project to resume editing, and it crashed. Premiere crashed. Now, I'd been constantly saving throughout, so I technically haven't lost any work, but what has happened is I had to do a forced shutdown on Premiere, and when I reopened it, one of my source files had the media pending glitch, bug, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, I tried several things. I couldn't restart my PC. That's the only thing I couldn't do because I had everything set up for this stream. But, yeah, I've basically fallen out with Premiere again. So I'll have a go at fixing it. I'll try and fix it because it's kind of important that I get this working. Otherwise, I've got to go back and redo everything again, which, you know, I'll probably do it better the second time around, but it's still not an ideal scenario. Anyway, good evening, Frank. Good evening, James. Good evening, George. Good evening, everybody else that's here tonight. Welcome to the stream. Do we have viewers on Twitch? I think we might have 1 or 2 viewers on Twitch. I also just had to resync YouTube up to my restream because that wasn't working. Frame droppage seems to have sort of leveled out a little bit, so I'm happy about that. Right, so tonight, last week we built this little link route here between, was it Great Slunnington? Yeah, Great Slunnington and Cadworth via the most northerly point of the Bahecity Commuter Belt. So it goes through Lumberg and then it comes out here and then continues down along this way, along this way, along this way, and up to Cadworth, which is here. And we rebuilt all of this little bit here as well, which is all very nice and very good. Now, I thought I'd done everything to do with the routes that had been suggested, but I completely forgot one of the routes that had been suggested. So, I've got the image open in front of me right now. Branningley Market is the first point, which is here. Yes, it's this one here. And this new line goes from here, and it connects down via Slumfingbridge, Fort Drudingworth, Sinningville, Dunfingley, and then is that Dayfingley Market, and then terminates at Retborough. So, plan list, new. I'm just going to call this one the Branningley Market to Retborough. Righty-ho. So, from here, I assume. Where's Sleuthing-Bridge? Oh, wow, over there. Okay, I don't think we'll be able to make that one. What we could do is climb up and over this hill and go this way instead via Reninghead. And then perhaps... So hang on, after Sleuthing-Bridge, the next one was Fort Drudingworth, wasn't it? So I think if we go this way, up this way, and then up this way. And then it was so Fort Drudingworth, which is there. Then Dretborough Market. No. Sinningville was next. Where is Sinningville? Where is Sinningville? Someone help me out here. It must be south. Hang on, I'm going to start this route again. Right, start again. Rename. Branningley Market to Retborough. Have you ever taken a look at any railfan cameras? There are several within the UK, US, and probably other countries. I haven't. They tend to be in very picturesque locations, but not very busy locations, and that's probably one of the reasons. I think there's one in Peterborough, actually, thinking about it, which I would be sort of interested in. But yeah, most of them, like the Dawlish one, it's like a train every 15-20 minutes, and that just doesn't really do it for me. Right, Sleuthing-Bridge. Then Fort Drudingworth. Is it this way? George, help me out here. This was your suggestion. Where is Sinningville? It can't be this way. It has to be south, because we're linking up to the route from Nuthill, which is considerably south of... Actually, no, it's not south, is it? It's, where is it? Oh, it's there. Wait. How does this work? Oh wait, no, it joins up after Wantford. So Wantford continues... like that. So the Wantford line continues this way and connects up to Dunfingley, which is where we need to go. There it is. Sinningville is there. Right. I need to delete this again. rename. Brainingly Market to Retborough. And then it was Sinning. So it was Slimfing Bridge, Fort Drudingworth, which is no way I'm going to be able to link that up if I'm coming back down here. So it's going to be probably Senfing Bridge, then Sinningville. Then Dunfingley, which was over there. So I suppose we can start building this station here at Dunfingley now. For some of the railfan cameras, you can go back up to 0, 4 or 12 hours depending on the railfan camera being viewed. Note that some streams don't allow DVR playback. Yeah, I'm not really, as I said before, I'm not really a train spotter. I'm not a, I mean in America it's called rail fanning, but in the UK it's called train spotting, and I'm just not. People think I am because I like railways, but that's a very big misconception. Because in truth, I like seeing trains running. Don't get me wrong, but it's not my major interest. So it's not really the thing that I specialise in or are that interested in all honesty. How the hell am I going to build this? So this main line, I think, is going to just turn straight east and head off past Sleuthing Bridge and on to the east coast through Fort Drudingworth, and I mean there's a lot of big towns here. Did you hear about the broken down train going into Liverpool Street this week? Passengers were stuck on it for hours. No, I hadn't heard about that actually. Hope that was nothing serious. Right, I believe George had some conversation topics for this week as well that I'm waiting on with bated breath. Do you prefer passenger trains or freight trains? Passenger. Freight trains are boring, in my opinion. Again, controversial topic, I know, but I'm just not interested. Like, in America, okay, and I'll use that as a very specific example. So when Train Sim World was released, CSX Heavy Haul was the only scenario, the only route that was available. And a lot of people were very, very excited by that prospect. I was very, very disappointed by that prospect because for me, US freight is probably the most boring thing that you could make a train sim route on. If it was something like they're doing with the UK routes now, where it's freight and passenger, then I would have been a bit more interested in it. But because it's just freight, I just don't have an interest. It's really slow moving, it's boring. You see one train that's 2 miles long and then you don't see another one for like 7 hours. It's just not interesting to me. I'm sure that there is a big fan base behind it, and I have no problem with that, but it really isn't my thing. East-West rail route from Bedford to Cambridge has been announced by EWR. Runs from Bedford Midland to Cambridge via a new station between St Neots and Sandy and a new station at Camborne. Is this the East-West rail link? The Varsity line? One Pokemon Master for Gamers. Hello, welcome. Awesome name, by the way. Right, terraforming time. So yeah, we're gonna be building a lot of rail routes around this area. It was just gonna be one originally, but now I've actually seen how many different links there are around here. I'm gonna try and get as many of them done as possible without doing the thing that I normally do, which is half-arse it and then regret it immediately afterwards. So I'm gonna try and do better, which is easier said than done a lot of the time, but we shall see. Okie dokie. So yeah, the Varsity line getting built. That's interesting, because I know that the area between St Neots and Sandy was quite a sticking point on the project because of the fact that it's been built on, because we were very short-sighted back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and we built over loads of old rail links, because apparently we just assumed they'd never get built again. But how wrong we were. Although I will say, as good as it sounds, I don't like the terminology that people are using of we're reversing beaching, because we're not. What beaching did was irreversible. We're suffering the consequences of it, and we're now rectifying the mistake. That is not the same as reversing. Reversing the beaching acts would have been to have not done the beaching acts. That's reversing it. Because even now, all these new routes that are being built, half of them aren't following the original alignment because it doesn't exist anymore. One of the new trains. I watched Jeff Marshall's video of the new trains. They're very from what he was saying, they're a massive improvement on what's already there. And to be honest, the old 90s slam door stock looks very outdated now, in all honesty. But I don't know. There's something about the new trains. It doesn't really. I don't know. I'm just not a fan right now. I think it's a grower. I think over time I'll get used to them, but right now they just don't feel that great. I think it's because they're inside, they're like bright whites everywhere, and it just feels really sterile and clinical, like a hospital waiting room kind of thing. I think they needed to throw a bit of colour in there, particularly because Greater Anglia has quite a nice colour scheme, the grey and the red. I think they could have utilised that a bit more. It looks a bit too white for my liking. Yeah, James, we're not talking about the viruses tonight, please. Northern has been stripped of the franchise. OLR takes over from March 1st. Yeah, I think it was going to happen. It was inevitable. They should do like my idea on this network to split Northern into East and West. That's kind of inspired by what I think should happen in real life. Because Northern were at one point, they might still be in fact, the biggest franchise in the UK. They have the most stations, they have the most track mileage, and I think they also cover the biggest distance. So imagine there's a delay and how much of a cascade that can have, particularly in and around sort of Oxford and Leeds. Manchester. I was thinking of Oxford Road. Manchester and Leeds. If there's any kind of delay around that area, it's only really Northern that's affected. Sometimes it's TransPennine as well, but they've been under a lot of stick lately. But it goes back to what I said months ago about if there's a delay in South London, there could be one of four companies that's caused it, and then there could be one of four companies that ends up having severe delays because of it. But the average commuter doesn't really take that into consideration. They just think, particularly out of like Charing Cross and Victoria and places like that, it's trains late, must be Southeastern's fault or must be Southern's fault. And more often than not, it's nothing to do with them. It could be a Thameslink train or a South West Railways train that's broken down. And yes, Thameslink is technically part of Southern, but for the basis of this argument, imagine they're separate franchises. It's not necessarily their fault when there's delays. Northern have a lot of interest in the north when it comes to. Hang on, let me rephrase that sentence so that it actually makes sense. Northern have a lot of interest when it comes to making sure their trains run on time. And if TransPennine Express have an issue, or if there's an issue on the East Coast Main Line or the West Coast Main Line, or pretty much any of those lines that in no way is the fault of Northern, it could still end up delaying one of their trains, which could then end up delaying 35 of their trains. So all they've done is removed the Northern sticker from the train, slapped on a government subsidy one, whatever it might be, and they'll have the exact same delays. It's the exact same company operating on the exact same tracks with the exact same staff. The only thing that's different now is the name and the person whose name is above the door under the manager's office. That's it. Only differences, nothing else. £500 million fund for developing proposals to reopen closed lines, which was also announced. How much money do you have in this session? A lot. We have a lot. Yeah. 7.2 trillion, I believe that is. That wasn't necessarily legitimately gained. That was because we had a massive problem with the old patch with inflation, and the company was hemorrhaging. Why can't I speak today? We had lots of money going out, basically, and not enough coming in, because we weren't hemorrhaging. That's the word. I just suddenly heard it in my head again. We were hemorrhaging money. So, I used the money cheat to just give myself a load of money, and then at the same time, because it wasn't planned, at the same time switched over to the JGR patch, went into real-time mode. So like if I unpause the game now, or if I were to unpause the game, the clock in the bottom here would run in pretty much real time, give or take, an hour or two. And because of that, the company has now got more money than perhaps it should. So we might be finding a way to like lose some of the money. I might just use the money cheat in reverse for a bit, just to give some of the money back, let's say. New task force between Network Rail and Northern called Northwest Task Force has been established to tackle the infrastructure issues, deep clean of the trains, and devolution plan for the future. Why couldn't that happen before they took the franchise off Arriva? Was it Arriva or was it Abellio? It's probably Abellio. Why does that only happen now when the government takes over? Why couldn't that happen before? It's so dumb. Some of these things, it's so dumb. It's so easily avoidable as well. That's the frustrating thing about it. Right. So we're going to build like an interchange station here at Bridge. The first link that we're going to be building tonight. Let's drop all this down as well. Worst part is between Manchester, Piccadilly and Deansgate, mainly caused by services using the new curve. Yeah, that was the other problem. And this technically was Northern's fault, but they built the Ordsall curve, and then they just decided that every single train on the Northern network had to use that curve at some point on its journey. Or at least that's what it seems to be. Because, like, literally overnight, every single Northern service now, and TransPennine, seems to cut through Victoria and use that chord. All the services, and it's like I've never understood this, like the northwest of England, the fascination with this new curve, because I'm sure it's great. As I said, it opens up new links to other parts of the UK, but did every train have to use it? And also this obsession that every service seems to have to terminate at Manchester Airport as well. Like no one in Edinburgh is going to catch a plane from Manchester. Let's be serious here. They're going to catch a plane from Edinburgh. Or if they can't go from Edinburgh, they're going to go to Newcastle or Glasgow. You know, they're not going to go, I really want to go on holiday. I know, I'll just take the train to Manchester and fly from there instead. Some flights don't necessarily go from every airport in the country, sure. But worst case scenario then, you probably end up at one of the 4 London airports. I've never understood that. All the time when I was in Manchester, and I just kept looking up at the departure board and thinking, why are there so many trains that go to Manchester Airport? It just doesn't make sense. Currently 14 trains an hour each way over a 2-track section. Yeah. And it's not like the Thameslink core either, where it's automatic train control. this is all manual, well not manual, but you know what I mean. It's all signalled and run conventionally. Right, let's build these platforms. Let's go with the elevator like so, and like so, and we'll put something just like benches there, and then we'll go bench, bench, and probably just another plant barge there, to be honest. Just do it like that. That looks alright. And that'll be the interchange. And then this line will head down this way, like so. So yeah, now we're going to build this line down towards Dunfingley, and we'll build Dunfingley Station. Geez, yeah, it's a lot. As I say, it's a lot of money. I will be looking at ways of making this more realistic. I've had a few problems that I've been having to try and fix. JGR has been very, very good. I'll give him a lot of credit because he's been talking to myself and James on GitHub about it. And he's sort of said he's still working on a solution to the depot route pathing problem. Which, you know, I'm happy to be patient on that one because I found a temporary fix. Because the issue I have, and I've tested this with a multitude of different services now, and the more I've tested it, the more I'm starting to think that I'm not the one who's broken it, but there's something not right with the code. And the reason I say that is top left corner here, you can't see it because it's behind my logo, but top left corner, you're right Dylan, not seen you here for a while. Yeah, top left corner here, there's a metro train. I've started introducing the Guard City, or reintroducing the Guard City Metro again. And the first one I did, as I did with the Overground, was the circle. Am I buffering again? Oh my god, I'm buffering again. What on earth is going on? Let me just lower my bitrate and see if that does anything. Okay, that might have done it. My bitrate is at 12,000 kilobits per second, which is what it was all the way through last week, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before. Probably going right the way back till about July. Why now it's not working, I don't. My PC has been off for a lot of this week, because I thought I'd give it a break. So it's not like I've been overworking it. So I don't know what's going on tonight. I do not know. But I was in the middle of making a really good point, and I've forgotten what it was now. What was I saying? That's really annoying. I've completely forgotten what I was saying. Oh yeah, the metro. Yeah, it's buffering for everyone. It's buffering. It's really annoying. Right, hang on. Let me just grab this, pin this, scooch over here. So this is back in Guard City. This is the metro. So we got the circle line, because as always I like to get the circle going first, test that, and then see if there's anything else I can add or change or anything like that. So we have a simple circle line. It starts here at this new storage depot that I built, which is on the site of the old one, but isn't the old one. I'm just going to turn my bitrate right down to like 4,000, maybe even 2,500, and see if that does it. Also, technically, it's not the Guard City Metro anymore, it's the Guard City Underground. Builder of new trains for the Tyne and Weir Meteor. Oh, can you imagine? That's cool though, Metro. Yeah, I'll have to look at the news for that next month, because I was quite interested to see who was going to get it. It's quite an interesting project. Guard City Underground. It's not the Metro. It's not to the Metro mark. It is the Underground. So it starts here at this new depot, which I think I might actually tack on to this old depot. Do I have any vehicles here that I'd have to redo? No. Good. Right. So it starts here. It comes out through here, through the tunnels to Bankside, which is sort of the big interchange metro station on the entire network. It's like 4 lines in, 4 lines out. From Bankside, it then does a complete loop of Guard City, comes back to Bankside, and then continues down this way and terminates at Shoreham Junction, and then it goes into these storage platforms, which used to be to one side but are now in the middle. Buffering only seems to be an issue of watching live. That's an interesting. Yeah, I've dropped 20,000 frames. I hope the video isn't crap. Hopefully the video goes up normally. If it is crap, I'm recording this anyway just in case. So I might take down the stream and then re-upload the video. Because it shouldn't, the video itself shouldn't be buffering. The video itself should be quite smooth. And then yeah, from Shoreham it goes into the storage here, comes out again, and then returns through Bankside, round the loop again, and then back to Bankside, and then back to the depot. As you can see, there is a train here loading. These trains are supposed to be half an hour apart. But if I go back to this train leaves at 6. It's currently 5:26. Oh, so that's about right, I suppose. And then here, this one, yeah, you leave the station at 5:26. You're just about to leave. But at one point, the trains were backed right up. There's like 4 or 5 queuing up. So I don't know what's causing that. And this is brand new. There's no other trains on the track. Nothing that could potentially be blocking it. It should be straight through. And yet it's not. Oh, I think my Twitch stream's gone down. It says unstable. Average stream bitrate too high. If there's ever a competition between YouTube and Twitch as to who's got the better streaming service, I have never had YouTube tell me the bitrate's too high. Where are you encoding the stream? If it's on your PC, then do you have any other programs besides the encoder, OBS, OpenTTD running on the computer? No, the encoder is OBS, by the way. It encodes straight into MP4 format in my case, as well as sending it over to Restream, which then sends it over to Twitch and YouTube. So yeah, nothing else running. It's me, Discord, which I always have running in the background, but that's very low processor, so that won't be the issue. The game. I've had more stuff running in the background. The other night I was playing Siege whilst rendering videos, so it's not processor and it's not RAM. Both of them are fine. I think there's something wrong with the connection. I'm just dropping frames again. And I can't restart because then I have to set up a new stream on YouTube. Let me switch back to hardware a second. See if that changes anything. So I can change the encoder type from software to hardware. So it's now using my graphics card to do most of the legwork. Did I just lose my chat as well? Oh no, I think chat's fine. Twitch has just given up by the looks of it. Unless that's Twitch coming back, that is now. Because I've got the thing coming up saying chat is ready to display messages, but it, you know, I've been streaming for half an hour now, so it should bloody well be ready. Yeah, I think it's Twitch coming back. This is why I stopped streaming for a long time. This is why I stopped streaming, because my PC is not broken. My PC is not struggling. It's the encoder, and it's OBS, and it's the communication between OBS and the stream. It just doesn't work, and it doesn't, like, it comes up with error messages, like YouTube is telling me that it's not receiving enough video. What the hell does that mean? There's like a million different reasons as to why it won't be receiving enough video. Could it at least give me a clue? Is it a network issue? Is it an encoding issue? Is it a, you know, is there something wrong with OBS? I just don't know. Anyway, I'm going to continue the stream. Do you know, just the other day I was thinking, maybe I won't do my 5 weeks on, 1 week off this year. Maybe I'll just work solidly throughout the year And now I'm really thinking maybe I should just do 1 week on and 5 weeks off. Because nothing can go wrong when you're not trying to stream or make video, you know, edit a video or anything like that. Fleetwood set to get its rail connection back. Many feasibility studies set to be taken out to see what lines should be open. Do you have any other devices and programs on your network using up all your upload bandwidth? It's not that. It's not that. Our bandwidth is pretty big, in all honesty. And yes, there are other devices on in the house. No, I'm not going to go tell those people to turn those devices off, because I know for a fact that that is not the issue. Plus, my devices would be struggling to connect if that was the issue. And I've not got that issue at all. It's just OBS. It is literally OBS. And I don't know how to fix it without having to restart the YouTube stream. So yeah, I'm basically trapped. I'm trapped in this stream now because there's naff all I can do. How annoying. I'm just gonna keep building. We'll do it in silence if we have to, because I'm getting pissed off now. Technology today has just decided it doesn't want to work. Yesterday was a really good day. I got quite a lot done. And actually I had a really exciting announcement to do with that, which I will still say at the end of the stream if there is still an end of the stream. But today, it's just being a dick. Derailed freight train at Eastleigh 2 days ago. There's a lot of derailments happening now. Another little incidents, which isn't very good. I still haven't really heard on what caused the collision between the HST and the Azuma. If anyone does know, feel free to say in the chat. Okay, so this line is the new one that we're building. It's going to go from Sleuthing Bridge, and it's going to head basically due south via Sinningville, via Honbridge, and then over to Dunfingley. It might even have a little stop here at Beeburg Springs, and then it will curve around and it will go into a new station around about here, I think, at Dunfingley. Can I just tunnel underneath this? Yes, I can. This kind of feels like a Highlands type line. It's kind of clinging onto the hillside. Quite like this. We'll have it go down like that. I'm really annoyed about Premiere. That's the one that I can't get my head around. It was working. It was working fine. All I did was go onto Chrome, type some things into a Google Doc, and it just crashed. I went back to try and edit again, and it wasn't like I clicked on like add green screen or anything like that, and that made it crash. All I did was click back onto Premiere, and the preview screen was black. So I exited it out, went back in, loaded the project up again, and then it came up saying media pending. And that is, if you ever get that when you're using Premiere, if you get the media pending, you might as well just pack up and go home, because sometimes it comes back, sometimes you'll never see your project again and you have to start again. Is OBS up to date? Yep, it does auto updates, plus if I launch it and it needs updating, it tells me. So it's not that. PC's up to date as well, because it checks every day. So it's not that. Am I still dropping frames? Apparently not. The problem now though is because the bitrate is so low, it's going to look like shit. That's what I really wanted to avoid. One thing I hate when I'm streaming is screen tear, because it's not the game. Like when I'm panning around, there's no screen tear, but because the bitrate is so low in the stream, that's all you see is screen tear. And I know people will complain. People are getting quite negative again on my stuff, and I don't know why. Like my Planet Coaster video from a couple of weeks ago, someone disliked it, which is fine. You're more than entitled to do so, and I know that it wasn't my best video in that series. So this week's one, the one that went up yesterday, I really tried to make it probably the best video I've made for a long, long time in that series. I really put a lot of heart and soul into it, and you know, the actual video on YouTube is pretty well received. Comments are very nice. Lots of watch time, not just views, but what actual watch time as well, which is really good to see. But someone on Reddit, no explanation. I posted the link to it this afternoon, immediately disliked, and then I posted a comment underneath that, just giving some context as to what the video is, immediately disliked. Why? What did I do to them? And you know, this has happened twice now, where everything I post on that particular thread has been immediately disliked by this one person. And I'm assuming it's the same person. If it's different people, then that's even worse. But if it's just the same person who has this some sort of vendetta against me, then wow, that's quite something. But yeah, everything else about it really well received. And next week's video, I can already talk about it because I know what it's going to be because I've already made it. And in fact, it's already been uploaded and scheduled as well. Next week's video is even better than yesterday's one. So if you liked yesterday's one, you're going to really like next week's. But yeah, coming off the back of the 1K streams, I've had some really good ideas and thoughts for new videos and sort of how to continue that buzz. So I just need that positivity to continue now. Otherwise, problem. And things like that, I've seen people on Reddit advise people to not take dislikes too seriously, and on YouTube I don't, because a dislike equals the same as a like in terms of YouTube interactivity. They just care about the fact someone's interacted rather than whether it's positive or negative. But on Reddit, that really does bug me, because that is someone who's either a regular on that Reddit community or is just following my posts and disliking them. And it's a serial thing. So I must have really pissed someone off. I have no idea who or why though. Do you have antivirus software? Yes. If so, when's the last time you ran a virus scan? Every single day. Is there anything limiting your CPU, GPU performance? Let me check on Task Manager. Nope. I'm using 35% CPU, 27% memory, 7% disk, 1% network, and 28% GPU. I'm running at a very cool rate right now, and therefore degrading your stream performance. It's something. If I was to do it as engineering fault finding, you split the network in half, and you split it again, and you split it again, and you keep doing that until you find the fault. And I can tell you now, because I've changed. Normally, if I get streaming issues where it's if the encoder gets overloaded, I turn down the well, no, the first thing I do is I switch the encoder from software to hardware or vice versa, because that's like the first step you can do whenever you have these problems. And then if that doesn't work, the next thing I do is lower the bitrate, or in some cases raise the bitrate, because this is very counterintuitive. Most people would assume that the bitrate being low would fix it, but actually the bitrate being high tends to fix these things. And it's something I learned. We seem to be running quite smooth now. So if I go back to 12,000 kilobits per second, I'm just going to keep an eye on the frame rate for a second. One thing I learned when I was doing the Outer Worlds series was when you're playing a game in 4K and you're trying to capture it in 4K, or you're trying to capture it, let's say, not just in 4K. Let's just assume you're playing a game in 4K and you're trying to capture it without it overloading the encoder. The best way to do it is to actually have the resolution at 4K rather than lowering it down to 1080, which is what I did for the first few episodes. So the first few episodes of that series look really bad because there was this really weird like frame stuttering. And that was entirely caused by the fact that I thought having 1080 as a resolution would be better, because what it then does is it uses more of the processor to try and compress the footage into a lower resolution, and then it then has to encode that file, that new file, and that's what causes the overload. Whereas if you just leave it at 4K, your file size will be massive. Let me just check what that notification was. Your file size will be massive, but your actual frame rate would be pretty smooth. Oh, Ben has subscribed on Twitch. Thank you very much. Is the Twitch stream actually working? I don't even know, but thank you, Ben. That is much appreciated. But yeah, it's a really weird sort of backwards system. Just streaming and video making in general is quite backwards, to be honest. It's very counterintuitive. It's not really what you'd expect it to be. But then that's part of the learning curve, I suppose. Like 4K gaming is something I never thought I would really do on the channel, and even now, I try not to. Like 4K is a resolution. Don't get me wrong. I will use the term 4K accurately if I have to, but I try not to really mention high-powered gaming because it's not what my channel is. It was never what my channel is. My channel really is bog standard gaming. You know, it's more about the game itself than the quality of the video. But I do try and make the videos to a passable quality at least. Getting the new PC was mainly about getting games that couldn't run before on lower end PCs to be able to run here. So Cities in Motion 2 was kind of part of that problem, although as we found out last week, it still crashes, even with the new setup. That was so disappointing when that actually happened. That was so disappointing. Genuinely, I thought I'd cracked it at one point. The stream had gone on for so long without it crashing. My internet couldn't handle the Twitch stream. I just don't know what is going on tonight. I just don't know. All I know is I want to play some Siege after this to blow off some steam. Because by God, have I just had a shit day. Well, like yesterday, this will make you guys laugh as well. Yesterday I thought I'd record myself playing some Siege. And I thought no matter what, even if I had a bad game, I'm not going to hide from it. I'm going to keep the footage and I'm going to make it, you know, an educational style video. And then I proceeded to play probably the worst games of Siege in my entire life. So you're going to see those because I'm not going to hide from them. They were absolute dog shit, but you will see them. And you will probably see me break down, not just break down the footage, but also just break down in general, have a little cry, because it was so bad. Some of the matches, I was getting more and more wound up with myself as well, because I was dying so easily. And it's really frustrating. But one thing I would say is normally, and I hate saying this because I'm not normally this kind of player, but sometimes when I'm playing Siege I kind of get a little bit like I'm analysing the enemy and saying, hang on, was that headshot really fair? And there was like 1 or 2 times I died where I have a little bit of cynicism, but the majority of the time I was up against some good players as well, and they just caught me off guard. And like there's one guy on my team that was accusing one of the other team members on the other team of cheating, and I was the one who actually had to say, come on now, calm down dude, you just had a good game. And you know, that used to be me. I used to be the guy going, come on, can you not see he's using aimbot? But not this time. You know it's bad when I'm the voice of reason though. Gee whiz. Did you mean subscribed as in followed, or as in donating? Donating X amount monthly. I didn't actually see how much it was. I'm assuming subscribing is the same on Twitch, no matter what tier you're at, because it's not like Patreon where you can do different tiers. I think Twitch is a one-off thing, but it's always appreciated. You know, even if it's like a penny a month, I'm still very appreciative, because it means someone out there likes my stuff enough to want to help support it. And you know, I still say this, a lot of my stuff that will be coming to the channel in the future will be Patreon only, but like the default stuff, this stream every week, for example, will be open to everybody, and like the Siege videos and all that stuff, that'll be open to everybody. But every now and then I might just do a Patreon only series or stream or something like that. And it, as I said, it's to entice more people to actually support me on Patreon, because right now only 2 people do, and it's still very kind of disappointing that that is the case. Because, you know, a thousand subscribers, you'd think maybe 5%, somewhere between 1 and 5% would support. But anyway, I'm not here to guilt trip anyone into doing it. It is entirely optional. I'm just very honest about that kind of thing. Because again, when it comes to, like, when I had my problems with Cities in Motion 2 back in the day, and some guy just said, "Oh, you need to buy a new PC," and I was already thinking about it anyway. But you can't just say to someone, "Go and buy a new PC." Do you have any idea how much these things cost? It's not just something you can go down the corner store and just get a new PC. These things cost the earth. And as I now know, these things cost the earth. And, you know, as part of XVI, we're talking about upgrading hardware and stuff. It's eye-watering. It is eye-watering. Very grateful that we've got a lot of people at the uni and stuff who offer support for this kind of thing. But even then, they're not going to buy it for us. That still makes me laugh. That was an ongoing joke. In fact, I think it might even work its way into some XVI stuff in the future. Like we'll put it on a t-shirt or something. Just have, buy a new PC. Oh, your game crashed. Better buy a new PC. What a ridiculous comment. And if you are that person, and you do still watch my stuff, just think about what you said. Are we still buffering? Or are we running a lot smoother now? High Speed 2 set to be approved next week. That's a massive U-turn from last week then. Last week it was going to be cancelled. This week it's going to get approved. It's funny how these things kind of work out, isn't it? That was the wrong signal gap. Herpaderp. Actually, for this one, because it's a junction, I'm just going to do it there. So I just said about, whoops, stream buffering, and I've just looked at my screen again, and I've got the spinning wheel of death. I genuinely despair right now. I really do. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. That really sounds like someone's blocked a tap. The video tap. Someone's just, you know, stuck a cork in it and it's desperately struggling to get more video through. And eventually someone's going to undo the cork, and then video is just going to flood out everywhere. You know, like when you put your thumb over the end of a hose pipe, you just got video squirting out both sides. Buffered just now. Great. We'll start growling in a minute. It's one of those nights. Whoops. Now I'm placing things in the wrong place. Get rid of that. There we go. See, I'm just going to be lazy again and build island platforms. I was going to do a longer stream tonight, but I think it's going to be quite a short one now. Because, well, yeah. How annoying, though. How bloody annoying. I was so organised for today. I made sure everything was set up last night. Even after I finished playing Siege. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I still made sure that Restream was all set up and that was working. And, you know, everything to do with, like getting the stream set up on YouTube and everything like that, that was all working. I felt really, like, well organised and ready for today. Now it's all gone wrong. How bloody annoying. Okay, got another station here at, is that Senfingbrin? Actually, should I do it this side? So you come out the tunnel and then bam, station directly in front of you. I'll even put the shelters down this end. There we go. And then we come over here where there's the junction, and then there'll be another station here on the slow lines. Is the encoder overloading due to the downscaling from 4K to 1080p causing large encoder load? Nope. Nope. So, right, when you're on OBS, there's two things you can do. You have your base input and you have your base output. So right now, when I stream, like Space Engineers the other day, when I streamed that, my base input, or my canvas resolution, was 4K, 3840 by 2160. And then my output, which is called the scaled resolution, was also 3840 by 2160. So that is no compression at all. Base resolution was the same as the output resolution. Tonight, my base resolution is 1920 by 1080, and my output resolution is 1920 by 1080. So there's no scaling happening. Yes, I'm playing on a 4K monitor, but OBS's input is 1920 by 1080 for this stream. So it shouldn't be struggling. And I'm not getting the media encoding overload message. It's not that. It's the kilobits per second keeps tanking. It keeps going into the red zone. And that's what controls the stream. So kilobits per second is how much data is being transferred from OBS to Restream and then onwards to the stream that you're watching. And again, I'm a novice when it comes to this, so some of the terminology I use might not be strictly accurate, but I get the theory behind it. You know, I understand the principles. I might not be able to explain it very well, but trust me, I do understand the principles. So it's kind of, I mean, the analogy of putting your thumb over the end of the hose pipe kind of works out quite well here. Imagine water is kilobits per second, and imagine that you putting your thumb over the end of the hose pipe is basically what's happening right now. There's a choke point. The kilobits per second exist, but they're not getting across into the stream. So there isn't the analogy of when you remove your thumb, suddenly, you know, twice as much data gets pushed through. But yeah, right now it's in the green zone. 60 FPS. My CPU is at 7.9%. Oh, now I've got the overload message. Let me... Oh, it's just gone off again. But let me switch back to my software encoder and see what that does. But as long as kilobits per second, as long as that bit is in the green zone, we tend to be okay. So I've got it set to 12,000 right now, and we're sitting quite comfortably in the green zone. Right now it's streaming 9,000 kilobits per second, and now it's just dropped down to 350. Now it's just dropped down to 0. Well, that's interesting. And now I've switched back to the hardware encoder. It's rising back up again. and now it's dropped again. So yeah, something here. Something here is not really working out how it should be. But I have no idea what. How annoying. I hate technology like this because it just doesn't tell you what the problem is. Yeah, I switched encoders, stream immediately started buffering. But I've switched back and it's still buffering. So I think it's just buffering. I think it's just buffering, and I think I'm just going to have to live with it tonight. Okay, my restream's just gone down now. That's a new one. Oh, please don't do this to me. I think I've actually lost connection now. Are we back? Looks like we're back. My Restream app has crashed. Alright, that's back too. Okay. I think that was a genuine connection problem that time. How bloody annoying though. How bloody annoying. Alright, it's going to add all this platform decoration. I might stop talking for a bit because, you know, if it's buffering all the time then you guys probably won't hear me anyway. Could it be that one or more recent updates has degraded your stream performance in one way or another? I don't know. Genuinely at this point, I just don't know. It's not my PC. I'm pretty sure of that. So it might just be that the connection today happens to be bad. It might be completely unrelated to me actually streaming. It might just be a crap connection. In which case, I can't fix it. There's nothing I can do here that will change that. Or it might be my PC is just having a bad day. In which case, there's nothing I can do to fix it. Just gonna have to come back next week and hopefully it's fixed itself. It could just be that there is an update that's happened and it's broken something, in which case there's nothing I can do right now to fix it. Just got to wait for them to patch it and then it will automatically update and then that should fix it. I just don't know right now though. I just don't know. And again, people, if there's anyone out there who has ever used the word YouTube is easy, just piss off, because it isn't. Because every day is a stress. Every day there's something like this, where you could be sat at your desk, waiting to start a live stream, and then suddenly everything in front of you just stops working, and you have no way of fixing it, and you have no way of being able to tell your entire audience who are waiting for you that there's an issue. You just have to wait for it to either fix itself or something else to happen, essentially. Actually, 2 Patreons and 1K subscribers is a similar ratio as you would expect from many other channels that have a Patreon. Usually Patreon count is 2 to 3 orders of magnitude below. That's based on what though? Because some people, like, again, this might sound a bit judgmental here for a second, but like Instagram models, their follower count is probably a lot more inflated than perhaps it should be, and their Patreon subscriber count is also much more inflated than it should be. So that in many ways drags the average up. But then you also get some people that just don't have the rub of the green. And they don't get the support that they perhaps deserve, and that then drags the average down. So based on what? Because I feel like there's enough people who tell me that my channel is awesome and I should have more subscribers and things like that. But then when it actually comes to doing something, like, sharing a link, they don't do it. And that, that bothers me more than Patreon. Patreon is a nice thing to be able to have, but I'm not relying entirely on it. But it would also be nice at this stage of my YouTube career just to have one or two people more than currently who want to be involved enough in current running series that they're willing to put their money where their mouths are. So it's tiny. In the grand scheme of things, it's tiny. It's the price of coffee. Price of 1 cup of coffee a month to support me on Patreon. And once you support me there at the lowest tier, you have access to pretty much all the videos and things that will be Patreon only. So I'm not asking for someone to donate a kidney or anything like that. It's literally like $1 a month. In fact, it is $1 a month, I believe, the lowest tier. It is tiny. So please don't give me that crap about averages and all that, because it means squat. There's no such thing as an average on YouTube. I mean, that basically just goes back to the mantra of YouTube is easy, everyone should do it. And it isn't, and they shouldn't, because half the people don't have the mental strength to do YouTube. There's a lot of people, so many people on Reddit. It's laughable. They upload a video, and within 24 hours it hasn't reached 1 million hits. So they start saying crap like, oh, maybe I should just take it down and re-upload it. Like, suddenly the second time around, people are going to go, hey guys, there's this really cool video that we should all be watching. That's not how it works. Who does that? You're just giving up at that point. You're giving up way too quickly. You've got no ambition. You're just trying to make quick bucks and then you piss off. That's all they're doing. I don't even know if anyone heard that, because I don't know if I'm buffering or not. Apparently my stream is back again. It's only 15%. It's only 15.5% of my frames have been dropped, and yet half my stream has been buffered. What on earth? Right, let's fix these signals. So yeah, the second half of tonight's stream that I had planned is probably not going to happen now, because I think I'll save it for a day where you guys can actually see me doing it. Because it does involve a fair bit of... In fact, what was it? It was planning services, wasn't it? So it involves a lot of audience interaction and, people having an input. And there's no point in opening the floor up to you guys when I'm going to have to sit and wait for ages for the stream to finish buffering so you guys actually realise that I've asked a question. What is your favourite piece of track in your M4J network and in the UK? What is your favourite route in your M4J network and in the UK? I swear you asked these for the 1K stream, and I swear I answered it. I definitely answered favourite track. I remember that one, because I said all the junctions around Guard City. So yeah, I've answered. I'm pretty sure I've answered both. For UK and M4J. Right. Yes, so this junction is done. All the stations along the line have been built. Signalling's been done. This track has been added. I could probably do waypoints and stuff right now, but can I be bothered? I mean, I probably should, in all honesty. Also, I've built this as electrified, but I think I might de-electrify it. So this line, this main line here, have this as electrified because that will join up with the East Coast route. But the branch lines that spur off, I might have those as de-electrified and then use like bi-mode trains to run along them. I think that'll work better. So yeah, I think I've done everything in terms of route building. that I wanted to do initially, but I might do a little bit extra of just building now. So this route here, this one up here goes over to Wantford. This one here goes and joins up with the BHB again, BCB, sorry. I don't know why I keep getting BHB from. Joins up with the BCB again over here at Radeon. But there's also a spur. In fact, that is the BHCB, isn't it? This one. Looks like it is. So what's this? Oh, this was a branch line. Oh no, that goes up. Man. Yeah. Last week I described it as a web of lines, and it definitely is, isn't it? So this set of lines heads over towards Wantford. This set of lines will probably come down like this. Where's your least favourite piece of track in your M4J? Oh, I'm just gonna build. I'm just gonna build. Right, Transrapid is here. I think we're gonna have to tunnel underneath the BCB. Like this. And then yeah, you're going to go up and through like that. This one is then going to go... Is this all flat? Oh, it is. That's a bit deceptive. I know the worst bit about tonight is because curiosity will get the better of me. Once I finish streaming here, I'll be back on Premiere trying to get that to work again. It's these tutorials as well, because genuinely the tutorials do work more often than not. It's things like, you know, how to fix these bugs, basically, those kind of tutorials. But it's the really happy-go-lucky ones that are just like, hey, here's how you fix the media pending problem in 3 simple steps. Number 1, do this. Number 2, do this. Number 3, do this. And now it'll work. And then I follow it step by step. I make sure it's the correct year as well, because that's one of the other things with Adobe is sometimes if you get a tutorial from the wrong year, it can do more harm than good. So I make sure it's the right year. So in this case, it's like 2019, 2020, that kind of era. Check that I follow it step by step. No mistakes, nothing like that. Does it work? Does it bollocks? So then you're stuffed, because every single tutorial is the same. Because, you know, these tech experts, they see a tutorial and they go, oh, I'm going to use that. I'm going to, you know, borrow it, inverted commas. So then they write their own tutorial on their own blog, and it's the same tutorial, pretty much the exact same wording as well. And yeah, doesn't fix it. So I'm not dissing these people, because they've saved my life more often than not with some of these like tips and tricks. And some of them are also great in that they don't just tell you how to fix that problem, but they also tell you how to set up your PC so that it doesn't happen again. And to an extent, the problem I had in the past with buffering, not buffering, with rendering, I don't know where I got buffering from. It's just on my mind now, constantly. The problem I had with videos not rendering, that was fixed through one of these tutorials. So I am very, very grateful that these people do exist, and I'm also very, very grateful that they give this advice for free. But it's just the really, really happy ones, because when you get annoyed that something isn't working, and you find a tutorial and you follow it to the letter, and then it doesn't work, and then you read the final line of the blog and it goes, so glad I could help you fix your problem, or something like that. And I'm just sitting there going, but you didn't, through gritted teeth. And it's not their fault. It isn't their fault. What's going wrong with my PC right now is no one's fault necessarily. It's just so frustrating. Because when you live your life in ebbs and flows when it comes to creativity, you get that spark and you have to sort of act on it. Because if you leave it for too long, it'll either fizzle out, or like you could forget the idea, or you could lose interest. And they're the two worst things that can happen to someone in this industry. So I try and sort of act on it as quick as possible. But yeah, I've still got the idea. I still know what I'm going to do with these videos. For those of you that want to know, it's the Fallout series that I talked about, the XVI Fallout series. Because I think October was the last time I actually edited a video in that series. So I went back to it, and it took me a little bit of digging to find all the old source files again. But I found them, and I was really happy that I found them, and I started working. And yeah, I just all it was the Fallout series has what I call slide cards. I think that the industry calls them slide cards as well. It's a very random thing for me just to call them, unless that was the term. But like basically, if anyone's watched Frankie on PC's DayZ series, you get the little cards that come up where he doesn't show all the footage, but he tells you what's going on in the background between certain scenes. They're slide cards. So I had a few of those made up, and I was just typing into Google Docs, like editor's notes, for where to put the slide cards into this particular video that I was working on. Because the first 2 episodes I did, I made the slide cards as I was editing the video. But because I know that Premiere is so temperamental now, I'm going to make the video, render it as its own file, and then import it back, and then add the slide cards. So I can cut the existing footage up, rather than having to use this raw file to do that. So in practice, it should be as good as the theory. But what's actually happening is it already crashed a couple of times before the incident, as we shall refer to it. But yeah, it's just frustrating. It is just frustrating, and trying to describe the problem as well into Google, it doesn't always give me the answer that I'm looking for. So like one of the problems, so I get the media pending, both in the preview and in the project folder. The little file there also has media pending, or sometimes it just has a grey thumbnail. Like there's nothing else, there's no detail or anything, it's just grey. And that's the worst one, because trying to type that into Google, I get so many different things that come up, but none of them are related to the problem that I typed in. So in my head, it is Premiere Pro, project source file, grey thumbnail, something like that, or just grey. That's one of the things I've typed in before. And it comes up with things like, are you on the preview and there's no picture, it's just grey? Well, here's 10 tricks that you can use to get rid of that problem, which isn't the problem that I've got, so I can't do that. And you know, I every now and then I do look through these things as well, just in case they do accidentally fix the problem that I've also been having, but this one didn't. So then I thought, okay, maybe that wasn't it. So I just put like Premiere Pro source file blank, because that's also what it looks like. It's like it's loading the video, but it never finishes loading, and that came up with nothing. So yeah, you kind of just get to the point where, what the hell do I type into Google? Because I can't even describe the problem. How am I meant to find a solution? And back in the day when I used to have tech problems, I used to sort of bounce ideas off my dad, but I've kind of gone past his knowledge level now in this area, so I'm basically on my own. I don't have like a network of fellow content creators that I can talk, and even then I probably bamboozle them with half the issues I've been having, because I have that nasty habit as well of having problems that no one else in the world has ever experienced before. See, I am stumped. Right now I am stumped. And it's a shame, because I really want to get these videos done, because I think in terms of XVI, one of our sort of breakout series is this Fallout one. So would like to get it working. I'll tell you why I got lost for words then, James. And it's just it's it's a long-standing issue that I've had on YouTube, which is people bombard you with stuff. They bombard you with questions, they bombard you with comments, they bombard you with requests and demands and all sorts of things like that. And in my early days, I would try and appease as many people as possible. So when I did Cities in Motion 2, some people might have asked for specific things and I'd have gone, yeah, no problem, and actually, devoted some time to doing it. But one thing I learned very, very quickly was after a period of time, people just stop listening. And they'll ask you a question, and they'll ask you the same question like 8 or 9 times, but they won't listen to your answer. And that's why they end up asking you the question so many times, is because they just don't listen. So someone might ask me what my favourite football team is, and I'll say, Newcastle and Stevenage, and then the same person, not even someone different, the same person in the next stream will say, what's your favourite football team? And what's the point in asking questions if you don't even listen to the answers? And that's why I get annoyed now, because we had a whole 1K stream. People asked their questions and I answered them. I didn't call out who asked what, because I didn't think that was particularly fair. Some people might have wanted to remain anonymous, but I know who asked what. And I know that some people who had their questions answered didn't acknowledge the fact that their question had been answered. And some people have asked the same question again. So they didn't listen, essentially. So then what was the point of doing a Q&A if people didn't even bother listening to the answers to their questions? So that's why I got exasperated, because I answered it. It was asked to me what my favourite stuff was, and I went through pretty much everything, answered all of them, and then it's just a test of who listened. Kimbo, hello. Hello, son. This is becoming a regular thing now. If you want to check out my Twitch channel, you'll see what I'm talking about. We know who you are, though. So, there's that. Be very, very awkward conversation around the dinner table now. Yeah, people don't listen. That's so annoying. YouTube in general, people demand that you do things. And that's the other thing is, like, okay, so Cities in Motion, people used to demand that I do things. Like, build this, do that. And I would do it in a video. I'd say, such and such has requested that we do this, so today's episode is going to be about doing this thing. And I'd finish it, and at no point would they say, it's really cool that you took my suggestion or anything like that. The comment would just be, now do this. And there's no appeasing. There's no point where they just stand down and say, okay, fair enough, you did the thing I said, thanks for doing that. Now would you mind doing this? And it wasn't even like polite asking, it was just do this, do that. Or I would, take a viewer suggestion and I would do it. And in the comments it would be, why did you do it that way? Why didn't you do it this way? People are just never happy. People are just never happy. And I genuinely feel sorry for those people. I don't know what's going wrong in their life that they have to be so negative all the time, but yeah. This is the downside of YouTube. I love doing what I do, don't get me wrong. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but trust me, I love doing what I do. And everything last week and the week before was so rewarding, and it reminded me exactly why I love YouTube. And just content creation in general and building a community. And you guys might have seen, because again, no one acknowledged it when I posted it the other day, but there was a guy who, he was on Reddit. I found him on Reddit, on the OpenTTD Reddit, and he posted a video of, it was just a network that he built, a little network, train running around. And what really attracted me to it was the fact that he was using Thameslink trains, Class 700s. I quite like that. And it was only because I clicked on his post that I then saw in the description that it said, he used my new GRF pack. And I think in the video, because it linked to a YouTube video, and then in the YouTube video it said like something like inspired by M4J gaming, and that was never the plan. That was never the plan when I started YouTube. It was never the plan to sort of inspire people like that. But a lot of people inspired me in my work, not just in YouTube stuff, but in life in general. And it's really nice and rewarding to see that I can have a small effect on other people's work as well. Because I personally don't think I'm that inspirational right now, but it's still really nice to see when other people are inspired by it. So yeah, I shared that on the Discord, and I hope that you guys checked that video out at least, even if you didn't leave a comment or anything like that, because genuinely, that was me once upon a time. That was me. You know, I was inspired by people. The only thing I did differently was I didn't, you know, reference it or anything like that. Like in my videos, I did, but I never went on Reddit and said, you know, hey, this was inspired by this person, because I didn't really have the confidence to do that, in all honesty. But yeah, I'm really appreciative of the fact that that guy, Ramesh, I believe his name was. I'm a big fan of the fact that he's using my new GRF, which isn't mine, by the way. I compiled the folder, sure, but none of those new GRFs are mine. They should all be credited to the right people, because you know, a lot of hard work has gone into those new GRFs, and they are really, really, really well made. So you know, a lot of this stuff, you know, the platform tiles that I'm using right now, even. I'm sorry for asking these track route questions again. Yep, explored that. Where do you purchase your food from? I mean, is that a question that you really want to know the answer to? That's the thing. It's not a very exciting answer. If anything, it might come across as like product placement. I don't do anything special. You know, I don't go to some secret content creator's supermarket or anything like that. It's really, really mundane. If you want me to answer it, I'll answer it, but just don't expect me to reveal the secret handshake or anything like that. I watched a video on things that will make you say seems legit. One person wrote in big red letters on a white garage door saying, "I don't have a meth lab, never have, leave me alone." I bet you though, if the police raided his house, they'd find out that he doesn't have a meth lab and he never did. And then he would just stand there and say, "I did tell you." That's what these people do. I actually quite like those sorts of things. It's a good way to make yourself laugh. Underpass. And then I'll just have blank platform. See, I think I am going to de-electrify. Is it de-electrify or de-electrify? Is it 2 E's or 1? I genuinely don't know. If you had $10,000 to spend on products that were not tech related, what would you buy? I don't know, in all honesty. I like tech. Because tech can be anything. A computer is technology, but then, you know, a bike is technology. So, what would you class as being not technological? Even like, everything I can think of is technological. Because I'm not a foodie, as you know, so I'm not going to buy like $10,000 worth of steak. Don't worry about it, George. Don't worry about it. I'll find it. If it's one of those things, I'll find it. Right, where are we with all of this? So, we've got these 3 lines coming in. And I love the fact that they do technically all branch and diverge from similar locations. But I do love the fact that they're all going to different places. Like, even if this line from Wantford, I think we might make it go through Farthingly and then bridge over the line here and connect up with this line here. I just love the fact that we've got this huge network and web of lines now. Just imagine trains running down all of these. It's going to be so cool. This is something that I really wanted to do with the network this year. Was if you'll pardon the pun, but branch out a lot more and do more of these sort of outer connections, because we focused a lot on Guard City last year, and we are still going to be focusing a lot there this year, to be fair. But just being able to go out to these other locations here and in fact, let me redo this. Just being able to go out to some of these other locations here and build new connections, it's so satisfying. And I'm still open to audience suggestion. Don't get me wrong, but I have like an idea of the direction I want this series to go in this year. It's like my own little goals and targets, and I'm really glad, George, that you posted your ideas when you did, because it was basically I was looking for new lines to actually go out and build in the north of the map, and then these two came along, and it took me a while to get my head around it. I'll admit that, because I couldn't quite understand what you were asking at first, but these were really good suggestions, and it ties in nicely with some of the plans. Kind of proves this is someone who does pay attention, because it ties in nicely with all the plans that we made months ago that I'd forgotten about, all these lines that we'd mapped out and things like that, because they all fit perfectly in this area. I class technology as something that requires electricity. Ah, that's interesting. I class technology as something that, like, if it's completely, well, again, if it's completely manual, I was about to say, then it's not technology. But people. Oops, that's not the one I wanted to use. It's the one I wanted to use. Like, people used to go and use washboards in rivers to wash their clothes in, and in some societies they still do. But whenever I watch like history documentaries, they talk about sort of 16th century where that was the commonplace here in the UK, and they describe that as technology. They say this new technology revolutionized hygiene in medieval England. And do you think that's technology? These days it's just a bit of wood with some ridges on it. But back then, a stone axe a long time ago was considered revolutionary technology. It's really what you consider. Like mechanical machines, a steam engine is technology. A horse-drawn cart is technology. So what you mean, James, is you're referring to electrical items. So if I was to buy something non-electrical, in fact, Dylan, you technically mean the same thing as well, non-electrical. Yeah, let me answer this then. Oh, you're welcome, George. You're welcome. I want this to be like an example for other people now, where if you have ideas that you want to be integrated into the network, there's many places now where you can suggest ideas. The most common are on Reddit and on Discord, because they're the ones I check most often. But yeah, anyone who has any suggestions on how to improve the network, feel free to suggest them, because chances are they will get used and fully credited as well, because I'm not one of those people that just takes ideas and then doesn't like mention who they were from. Not naming any names, of course. So non-technological, so non-electronic items that I would buy. Probably. It's a good question. I mean, one of the things I would have bought, not for 10 grand, of course, but one of the things I would have bought like 2 weeks ago would have been a chair to sit in while I stream. I've got that now. So, not that. Can I ask why you did not sever the Transrapid route and built a new bridge over the new railway? Do you mean here? Because this is still an active... This is still the active Transrapid route, isn't it? Is it this one? Oh, it's not. Ha! I thought it was the still active route. No, that's over here. Good question. Why did I do that? I don't know. It's easy to take out anyway. That's a really good spot. Why did I do that? Those could very well be the technical term for technology. The age of Edison has altered my perception of what technology is. Yeah, so technology used to be anything that, you know, enhanced your life, basically. So, like if you go to Epcot at Walt Disney World and you go on Spaceship Earth, you'll see things like the first written messages on parchment, not parchment, scrolls, that kind of thing. I've gone into Harry Potter mode. What's the word I'm looking for? Papyrus? Is that the one? Like ancient paper, basically. That technically was, you know, communication technology. You know, people might think these days technology is satellites and mobile phones and computers and calculators and transistors and microchips and all that kind of thing. But really, technology can be something as simple as a lever. You put a branch under a rock and lift it in the air and you're using technology. And, you know, Edison and Tesla and people like that, they revolutionized what technology is with the discovery and harnessing of electricity. But, you know, it's still, in my eyes at least, technology can be anything that you can use on a daily basis. And, you know, you push a cart, you push a wheelbarrow down a hill even, that's technology. You attach a cart to a horse, that's technology. It really is up to you what you consider technology to be. But to actually answer your question, I'll try and be not boring and mundane, but again, I'm not the most exciting person in the world. The chair was one of the things, and I've got that now, so it won't be the chair. But just kind of things like that, like things that might have sentimental value, or things that might be nice things to do. That's kind of my deal these days. I mean, you asked me what I'd spend 10 grand on for technology, and I basically didn't buy anything for myself. I said I'd buy stuff for the guys so that we could all play games together and work together. That's the kind of person I try to be, in all honesty. Might not come across at times, but that is my goal. Paper. Yeah. I mean, paper is a word for it, but I was thinking of... oh, it was like a special type of paper. Let me just look up. Was it... It might have been papyrus. Yes. Papyrus. It's a material similar to thick paper that was used in ancient times as a writing surface. That's what I meant. That is what I meant. I recall Ivan mentioning that his glasses being technology. Yeah. Windows. You know, window pane. That is, not Windows as in the operating system. Windows are technology. And, you know, like in Japan, traditional Japanese houses, they don't have like solid walls and windows like we do. They have paper. You know, paper walls, paper windows. That's technology still. And it worked very well for them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have kept doing it. Fireworks, that's technology. Little things like that. So it's not just, you know, electronics and computers. It can be anything that you want it to be. What a world we live in, where that is the possibility. £10,000 worth of whiskey sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I don't drink, so... I mean, you know that, Ben, already, but for those of you that don't, I don't drink, so I don't really go for that kind of thing. And I'm trying not to do, like, product placement and mentioning things, specific things that I would buy. Did you know that alcohol can not only be used as a drink, but also as a stored value item for bartering, a fuel and or a flavour infusing agent for cooking? Yeah, of course I do. People put wine and beer in different recipes. Red wine especially, that tends to go in a lot. But, you know, I go to restaurants, I get beer battered onion rings and stuff like that, which I really don't like, actually. I'd rather they didn't do that, but... I don't have a religious reason for not drinking. I don't have a health reason for not drinking. I just don't like alcohol, so I don't drink alcohol. But imagine if you are restricted with what you can and can't eat and drink by your beliefs, and then all you want to do is go to a restaurant and have food, and then you can't have, you can't have certain, spaghetti dishes because it has wine in. You can't have onion rings because it has beer in. What the hell are you supposed to eat? Why not just dip it in batter like we used to do? And the horrible, nasty stuff that's bad for your heart as well. None of this health food rubbish. I got a bag of crisps the other day. And if anyone knows the McCoy's brand in the UK, I used to love McCoy's. It was my favourite type of crisp. But I used to have more Walkers because it was more convenient. But the other day, we got food delivered and I thought, oh, I could really do with some McCoys. It must have been like 4 or 5 years since I had a proper bag of McCoys. So I asked for some and they arrived and I opened the bag and I looked at it and thought, this ain't McCoy's. But apparently now it is McCoy's, because with all the new health food guidelines that have been brought in, it's like a shadow of its former self. It's really sad to see as well. It's not just, crisps, but other food items that I used to really enjoy, I just don't like anymore because it's not because it's healthy, don't get me wrong. I would rather it be healthy and be nice. But it's the fact, like, fish and chip shops, because they've had to change the oil that the chips are fried in. They're just manky and horrible now. Really bad. Don't like them. Not a fan. Right, let's add some waypoints. So, what is the longest tunnel in your M4J rail network? Probably, I think, 200 tiles, maybe longer on the high speed or the Transrapid network. And in the UK rail network. Okay, so I believe the longest rail tunnel in the UK, I think, is the Channel Tunnel. I actually saw a list the other day. I was reading an article about it. I think it's the Channel Tunnel. If it's not, then I believe it's the Northern Line between, is it East Finchley and Morden? It's basically the entirety of the Northern Line. And if it's not that, then I don't know, in all honesty. But I think it's one of those two. I'm restricted in what I can eat. Measuring my food, I have to check whether it's been cooked with meat, juice, goose fat, or anything I'm not allowed. Yeah, I mean, I'm a picky eater, so I don't have a medical reason for not liking this stuff. But I can imagine it is tough. And I know, like, people always like mock people with food allergies and things like that, but I think that's such an unfair thing to do, because it's not their, like, it's not, if you have a food allergy, it's not your fault. And some allergies are lethal, and you have to be very, very careful in what you do and don't eat. So I think it's so patronising and just outright rude to mock someone for having an allergy. If you're like me and you're just a fussy eater, then fine, have a go at me. But don't have a go at people that could literally die if they eat the wrong thing. I think that's so out of order. People can be such dicks. Actually, I'll tell you one thing that annoys me, and it's to do with alcohol. I don't necessarily have a problem with people drinking alcohol, but it's the fact that it seems to just be glorified on TV these days. Like, I was reading an article earlier on. I don't tend to buy into celebrity gossip and stuff like that, but I have noticed this every single year. So this week in the UK, it was the National Television Awards, and certain members of ITV won. Again, I don't think they should have, but that's by the by. And then the next day, they did like a joke thing where they all turned up late for work because they'd been out partying all night. And I just think, what kind of example is that to set to kids? Because some people, if there's a kid who's off school sick that day, and this, an ITV daytime show comes on, and they make a joke about the presenters aren't there because they were out partying all night, what does that tell the kid? Like, it's acceptable to miss work because you were out getting pissed. I don't think that's right, myself. Like I said, I don't have a problem with people going out and drinking. It's people's choice at the end of the day. But you wouldn't... Like, they wouldn't have started the show by saying, oh, sorry, our hosts aren't here right now. They're just in the alleyway out back shooting up with heroin. So why would they say they were out getting drunk? It's a drug at the end of the day. You shouldn't really be endorsing it like that, particularly not on daytime TV. In the evening, after the watershed, it's a different matter. But during the day, nah. I'm a cynical bastard, aren't I? Very, very cynical. What is the longest bridge you have in your M4J rail network? Again, do you know what? I don't actually know because I've not counted. It must be like 50 tiles maybe. And again, it'll be on the high speed or the trans rapid. So if you download the map, you can count it yourself if you want to. But I honestly right now can't tell you. What's your favourite and least favourite bridge in the UK rail network? The Tamar Bridge is a big favourite of mine. Again, I was a big fan of Brunel growing up, so anything to do with Brunel I really liked. But also Thomas Telford as well. He was a good bridge designer. So oh god, I've forgotten what it's called now. But the bridge that connects Anglesey to the mainland. It's like a tunnel bridge and it has castle turret things at either end. I can't remember what it's called, and it's going to kill me because now I have to know what it's called. But anyway, that bridge. It's not the... No, Tamar Bridge is the one at Saltash. I nearly said it then, and I've forgotten what it was now. But yeah, ones like that. I think it's really clever. Really clever how these Victorian engineers design these awesome structures. And actually, the best thing about... It's not a railway bridge, but the Clifton Suspension Bridge. I've been to see it a few times in my life. And one of the best facts about it is... If you look at it side on, one side has like a tower support thing underneath one of the sides. I'm trying to think exactly how it looks. So it's like there's two towers either side, and one has been like really bulked up and shored up against the cliff edge. And then they did some structural studies on it not too long ago. I think it was for Brunel's bicentenary. And they actually realised that it didn't need as much support as Brunel gave it in the design. So he over-engineered the bridge. And, a lot of people these days would just go, oh, what a waste of money, why did he do that? But I just think it's kind of cool that he really went over the top with it. Spent a lot of money on it. He never lived to see it be completed, unfortunately. He died before it was finished. But just little things like that. Brunel was such a wacky guy, really, for his time. Some of the things that he attempted, the SS Great Britain was the first, I think it was the Great Eastern, might have been the Great Britain, was the first iron-hulled ship. And also, the first time that ships of that scale were built. And he just thought, screw it, let's try it, let's see what happens. He was a really, really, really clever guy. Everything has protein, goose fat. I mean, I don't eat goose fat anyway. I think once a year maybe at Christmas there might be goose fat in the roasties, but beyond that I don't really eat that kind of thing. For God's sake. Why is my phone buzzing? Oh wow. Reddit is blowing up tonight as well. That's cool. See, I don't eat goose fat. I had a heartbreaking moment last week. Because on stream, I think it was during the Space Engineers stream, wasn't it? I was talking about getting a Pizza Hut afterwards. And again, disclaimer, I'm not having a go at Pizza Hut here. But I was really looking forward to having a pan crust pizza. And as soon as the stream finished, pretty much, I legged it downstairs with my laptop and put my order in for my food. And then, like 5 minutes after I ordered my food, I got a phone call from the manager of the branch that I'd ordered from, saying that they'd run out of pan dough. So they couldn't do a pan crust pizza, but would I be happy with a classic instead? And I was fighting the tears as I just said to him, yes, okay. I was so disappointing. It was a nice pizza still, but it was so disappointing that I didn't get my pan. So looking forward to it. That nearly ruined my day, that did. It sounds so sad when you say it like that, but genuinely, when you spend all your time looking forward to something and then it's just disappointing like that. But it's fine. I lived to tell the tale. I just knocked a bottle on the floor as well. That was smart. Broccoli, bananas, most veg, few fruit, beer. I mean, yeah, that is quite something. I know I said it last time as well. People just don't really realise sometimes how much work goes into like dietary requirements. You got to respect the people who, you know, make up menus to help out as well. Because, you know, back in the day, even, no, not that long ago, no one really cared. If you had an eating disorder, you had an eating disorder. That was it. It's only sort of recent years that it's kind of been highlighted and people are now starting to like pay attention and actually do something. Kids don't tend to get pissed. You say that. I think they do more and more these days. We kind of did when we were kids. Not to that extent. And I should point out at this stage as well, I talk about not drinking alcohol, but not too many years ago now, I did used to drink a lot of alcohol pretty much every weekend. So, you know, I gave it up because I didn't enjoy it. There was no I mean, there was a lot of bad experiences, but none of them, like I wasn't involved in serious incidents or anything like that. I just fell out of love with it basically and decided it wasn't for me anymore. Yeah, I mean, there was people I used to go to school with who every sort of Friday night they'd head up to the lakes with vodka and stuff like that, and even then I wasn't really a fan of it. Not that kind of thing anyway. It just ain't fun. There's nothing worse than sitting in a nightclub at 3 o'clock in the morning and realising you don't actually want to be there. It's a horrible feeling, because then you basically feel trapped, particularly if you're with people who are then your ride home. It's just a horrendous time. There's a 300-metre tunnel that took at least a decade to tunnel through, with an average tunnel speed of micrometers per second. Have you been through said tunnel? Are you talking about the Thames Tunnel in London? Because that was Brunel. That was his dad, technically. It was it was his dad who designed it, Mark Brunel. But they were both engineers on that tunnel. In fact, Isambard Kingdom Brunel nearly died. That tunnel caved in. Or it flooded, I think. Actually, it didn't cave in. It flooded during its construction. And Isambard was thought dead. But he somehow survived it. So, you know, he wasn't one to sort of shy away from getting his hands dirty either. He did do some of the work. He was down there. I think at that point he was overseeing. But he was known to sort of get involved with the shovel as well. Why is there different dough for pan and crust and so it's like it's to do with efficiency. So at the start of every day, they kind of make a prediction based on how many of that type of pizza they think they're going to sell that day, and they pre-make the dough. So some, particularly like chain pizza delivery places. They don't make anything on site. Like they'll add the toppings and they'll cook the pizza on site, but the dough is actually made prior and delivered to that restaurant. So in that case, what happened was they obviously had more pan orders than they were expecting, so they didn't have any more of the pan dough, which I do think is something that they could work around, perhaps, like get a medium classic and like a large normal and combine them or something, and then you've got your pan. But I don't make the rules. Same happens to me when I go to Subway for a meatball sub. 50% of the time they don't have it. Do you know what? It's like there's things in life now that I really want to try. Like my family keep going to Miller and Carter, which is a steakhouse, and there's something about it where I just think I could probably eat steak. I think I'd enjoy it. I don't like beef though. Like when I get cheeseburgers, I don't like beef. So that could potentially cause a problem, but I don't know, steak just feels different, even though it's the same. Who knows? But yeah, meatballs. Meatball subs is another thing. I noticed that you have double track that goes into stacked mode when entering a town, or at some other points. Do you mean this bit here, where it goes through Slondhattan? That's... I don't know of any places in the UK that do this necessarily. I'm trying to think of some examples where the fast line and the slow line do kind of diverge. I suppose the Great Western main line kind of has that, where the fast lines and the slow lines are quite a ways apart. But yeah, I don't think there's anywhere else that does that. In terms of these like stacker things here that I've got going into the stations, Paddington has this, and actually Paddington is the inspiration for this kind of design. Again, it sounds terrible when I say it like this, but I was reading an article on the Paddington rail crash, which is technically the Ladbroke Grove rail crash, but Paddington, everyone knows it as Paddington. But I was looking at some of the maps of the track diagrams, and I realised that a lot of what I was doing with my designs, like over at GSP for example, I just thought the more tracks you had, the more trains you could have and the smoother it would run. But actually at Paddington it goes from 6 tracks, bi-directional tracks, in and out of the station, and then it drops down to 2 fast and 2 slow. So it's kind of like it goes from 6 to 4 basically, although really it goes from 6 to 2 because you can only run out of the station in on 2 of those tracks. So that's kind of what I was doing here. So this really goes 6 platforms, 6 lines here, 5 lines here, and then 4 lines here. What it should really do is go 6, 5, 4, yeah, and then it would just continue as 4. But this works too. High speed 2 to be broken into 3 separate schemes. Ugh. I think that's the worst thing to do. I think they should actually build it all in one go. Like, I know High Speed 1 was also constructed in phases, but you think how long it took from the completion of the first phase to the completion of the extension into St Pancras. And it felt like High Speed 1, High Speed 1.5, High Speed 1.75. They were so far apart. What they should do is have one team start at Euston and head towards Birmingham, have one team start at Manchester and head towards Birmingham, and have one team start at Leeds and head towards Birmingham, and then all meet in the middle at the same time. That's how you build your rail link. Alrighty, how long have we been going for? 2 hours. So it's pretty much time to end now. I think we got through the buffering. I don't know how we did it. And I know I'm tempting fate saying that. 10.4%, 46,109 dropped frames. When you read it out like that, it's a lot, but it's a 2 hour, 3 minute stream so far at 60 FPS. So, I mean, how many is that? Let's work it out, shall we? Let's work out how many. I mean, technically we know, because 10%, so it'd be like 461,000 frames. But let's, for the shits and giggles, work it out anyway. So it's 60 frames per second times 60 seconds per minute times 2. Actually, let's not do that. So what is it? It's 3,600 frames per minute. Times that by 2 hours 3, which is 123. 442,800 frames, and we've dropped 46,000 of them. Yeah. Yeah. There is at least one example in the US where the two directions of the highway split apart by a large 100-meter plus distance. Are there any such examples in the UK rail and road network? You know, Google is a better place to ask these questions, but I can give you an answer to this one as well. There's a project that was planned back in the 60s in London called the Ringway Project, and I referred to it when I built the Garden-City Orbital Road. Basically, the Ringway project was a series of motorways that orbited around London. It was meant to reduce traffic congestion. One of them does exist now. It's the M25, but the M25 actually was an amalgamation of the remaining sections of the cancelled Ringway projects. So there's I think it's the M40, where it goes into London. It goes past Brentford and places like that, and it's raised above the streets. That's an example of a ringway that never got finished. But there is a little section, there's a place called South Mims on the M25, which is where the M25 meets the A1. There's a service station there, and I believe there's a town as well, or a village, which is where South Mims gets its name from. But if you're coming from the east side of that junction on the M25, just before you get to that junction, the two carriageways diverge, and they almost feel like slip roads that are coming off a main motorway, and that's because when they were built, that's exactly what they were. So the road itself was designed to curve around to the south and head into central London, and that was part of Ringway 3, I think it is. Or it might have been Ringway 2. And then the two slip roads that are now part of the main carriageway of the M25 were supposed to be a joining section to another main road that then continued around London. So it's kind of a happy little accident that the M25 is what it is. But yeah, there's that little section where it does diverge and then join back together again. There's also a section down in the south of London where the M25, you actually turn off the M25 to stay on the M25. Whereas if you go straight ahead, I was about to say the M20 something. Might be no, it's not. I keep going to say motorways that I know it's not. I was about to say the M23, but I know it's not that one because that doesn't go north of London. But there's a road. It might even just be an A road. But there's a road that turns north towards London around that point, and you actually have to turn off the main road to stay on the M25. It's really, really counterintuitive, but you know, that's the way they designed it. I'm trying to think what else we can do tonight. I think we're done. This route here will continue to get built over the next few weeks, and it will have a connection. Oh, I zoomed out too far again. Hang on, let me just give a second where the game decides what it wants to do. Alright, I'll do my announcement now while I'm waiting for the game to load. Why do you have 6 plus vehicle windows open on the left side? I noticed you didn't touch them. Yeah, okay. So the fix I've currently had... Hang on, let me just look at this again for a second. So this route here, it came from the south, didn't it? So this is the east coast route here. So this route is going to join up with the east coast route and turn south. In fact, it might even join up over here and just continue straight and then turn south. So yeah, the 6 windows, there's 7 on this left hand side, and then there's 2 more up in the right hand corner, which you probably can't see because the logos hide them. But at the very top here, the one behind the M4J logo in the very top left corner, this is the Garden-City Underground service that I'd started. I'm actually using... I'm trying to remember what the new GRF is called. But I was trying to think of a metro train that I could use for the Garden-City Underground. Because we're using the 4th rail, 630 volt DC 4th rail that we have here in the UK. So what we used to use on the HLR, that was out because they're not compatible with this track. And I was looking at some of the 3rd rail units down here, and the only thing that put me off these is like their top speed, 75 miles an hour. Obviously, we weren't going to use the modern stuff, but even down here, like the 455s and the 456s, top speed 75, top speed 75. They're too quick. They're not really commuter trains. We can't use these 508s and 507s because they're being used on the HLR. And I wasn't going to use the modern stuff yet because we haven't reached that era. So I kept scrolling down and I found this. The Metro Camel D78 stock 4th rail. Now the D78, I think, is what used to run on the district line. So I have 2 of these per train. And you can see the little red marking there where the join is. So it's like power car, because these are, if I show you, if I buy one, see it's the 2 vehicles and you have to add the carriages in yourself, which I think they're just called Metro or Underground multiple unit car. Yeah, London Underground MU carriage. So it's one of these and then 2 carriages in between, and then that's obviously then copied. So we have two trains per train, if that makes sense, which is what I have on a lot of my trains, like the Bahecity Connect stuff. This one here, it's 2 units together. And what I like about that particular new GRF is the fact that the capacity is actually pretty high. So the total capacity of this entire train is 780 people, which is about right for an old London Underground train. It might have been slightly bigger, might have been more like 900. But from top to bottom here, I've got the Bahecity Underground Circle Line. Then I've got Bahecity Connect. This is the Punfingford Airport to Dintown one. So over here is Dinstown. Then this one here is the Drunnington and Tenfing Bridge to Cadingbury Junction. And then this one here is the Drunnington and Tenfing Bridge to Wrenston Interchange. This one is, oh yeah, the Punfingford Express from Bahecity St George to Punfingford Airport. This one here is the little Connect service that we have that goes from the 3 Punfingford Airport stations. This one is the Bartholomew Square to Honningville via the, is it the Capital Line? I think I called it the Capital Line. And then this one is the Bahecity St George to Warnbridge Airport service. So what I've been doing for all of these services, I'll be doing it for the Great Western next, but I've been removing all the vehicles except 1 or 2 for each service. And then I've just been letting the train cycle through its timetable, because the way the timetabling works is it works out an average from the last, I think it's 3 to 5 journeys. So for example, this train, if I go into its timetable, it says it takes 255 minutes. So let's say this next journey takes 255 minutes, but then the one after that takes 230, and then the one after that takes 235. No, wait. Let's say it takes 255, and then the next journey it takes 260, or, yeah, 260. I was trying to convert it into hours for a second, but no, this is in minutes. So yeah, the next journey takes 255, then the one after that takes 260, then the one after that takes 265. The average then becomes 260. So that will be what it then says at the bottom. This timetable will take 260 minutes. So it's constantly updating. So every time it completes a cycle of the timetable, the previous entry gets removed and the next one gets added, and then it works out an average based on that. So the problem with what was happening with scheduled dispatch, which was very misleading in my opinion, and maybe there's a way of fixing this, but as I said previously, scheduled dispatch only dispatches trains. It doesn't measure the timetable, and JGR has also said the same thing. So on the Great Western franchise, because the platforms were getting full and trains were then queuing, one of these trains is waiting for longer than it should be, which means its timetable ends up being longer than it should be. So if it ends up waiting at these signals here for 30 minutes, it will add 30 minutes to that timetable. So even if the next cycle of the timetable goes back to normal, there's still an entry for at least 3 cycles where it's half an hour longer, and that will increase the average. And if that is the time where I click on this and go, oh, do we have the right number of vehicles? So this one has 13 vehicles and scheduled dispatch says it only needs 9. But imagine if that said 20 instead of 9. So then I buy 7 more vehicles and it just continuously clogs up the network. So yeah, what I've done is all of these trains, and I'll be doing this for every single existing running service on the schedule, because up here as well, in the top right corner, I've got the 2 Rudworth to Dintown branch line shuttles, and I'll be doing the same thing with these. What I'm doing is I'm clearing out all the trains, or as many as possible, by sending them to depots, because I can't just send them back to this depot and they'll pathfind their way through the timetable and then back again. Although, as I said earlier, JGR is looking at finding a way of getting that into the game. But what I have had to do, I'm trying to find one right now, because I think I removed a couple of them. I'm sure I had one around here somewhere. I definitely know I have one up here. Here. So I placed down a depot here, because there was loads of trains queuing right back here, and I had another one here as well, because there's logic programming on these signals. So I sent as many trains as possible into these depots and just got rid of them. In fact, there's one here I can get rid of as well. Just got rid of them. It's easier to do that because I've got so many other vehicles stored at the main motive power depots that I can afford to get rid of a few here and still add some more to the timetable if necessary. Now there's like 2 or 3 per. In fact, what is wrong here? I had this problem earlier. This train just sits at this. It is a path signal, isn't it? I don't get it. There must be something wrong. So that is, if next order is Dintown Slow 8, and this one is Dintown Slow 8. So it should allow it. For some reason it's not. Let me just replace the signal. Not that one. This one. If train is entering from back of signal, then if next order is that. This doesn't want to work. Again, I might be being dumb here. Can someone help me out and just tell me if I've done something wrong with this? Do you have any more, or do you have more modern vehicles in service closer to Guard City and older vehicles further out? Yeah, in London, in real life, that is kind of how it used to work. Although, it used to be whatever London didn't need, the north of England got. But these days, it seems to be whatever anyone doesn't need, the Midlands gets. Because there's loads of Turbo Stars from ScotRail that have now gone to the Midlands. All the Turbo Stars from London Overground have gone to the Midlands. Everything has gone to the Midlands. But yes, it's rolling stock cascading is the official name for it. I just need to check as well. This is facing the right way. Yeah. You are definitely a path signal. And you are definitely I have no idea what's happening here. You are going to be a deny if entry direction is from the front, then deny. Allow. But yeah, to answer your question, James, currently all these trains are kind of the same age, but yes, there will be a process where new trains will be added from Bahecity and Guard City, and then old trains from those areas, instead of just taking them to a depot and selling them, or even just using the auto replace tool, I think I'll do a manual. So I'll use the automatic auto replace so that these I've forgotten what type of train these are now. Sprinters. So these Class 151s will get replaced by Class 151s automatically. So it's like a service, basically. But then, yeah, when the time comes, I'll buy like a Turbo Star, and I'll add it to this system, this service, and then these trains, instead of selling them or just removing them from the game using the auto replace, I'll cascade them to somewhere else on the network. That is the plan. Because again, it's in the name of realism, really. It's just trying to keep things realistic, trying to keep things how they are in the real world. So in the real world, you don't just, a train doesn't just disappear in a depot and then poof, it's gone. There's always a process. So we might have a scrapyard somewhere where old trains will end up going. It'll be a very sad day when that does happen. No, it's gone through now. I don't get it. There must be something to do with the signals there. But yeah, that's grossly inflated this timetable now because it's been sat here waiting for ages. But yeah, we will be doing a cascade process. So again, those who are in charge of their franchises, after a point, they will be allowed to upgrade their rolling stock, and to an extent, they'll be allowed to decide what happens with the existing rolling stock. So if they want to keep it on their franchise, then they're entitled to do so, or if they don't want it for whatever reason, so like if whoever's in charge of Guard City Connect, if they don't want sprinters anymore, they can be moved to the Great Eastern or the Great Western or the Northern, wherever it might be. And there'll be a system in place to take care of that. What I will do is set up a series of template routes between motive power depots, so I can just assign trains to that and run them between the depots. Do you have two different rolling stocks on the same service? If so, where in the M4J rail network and the UK rail network does that occur? In the UK, everywhere. Literally everywhere. The only franchise that I can think of that has the same train running on the same service day in, day out is Thameslink. Actually, no, that's not true. The Javelins as well, because they're the only high-speed compatible domestic trains. But pretty much everything else can be anything. And even then with Thameslink, you can either have an 8-car or a 12-car, depending on what service you're running that day. But yeah, it's a mix and match over here. And yes, I will be doing that. So actually, these trains here, so like, give me a good example. This one. Actually, no, that's a really bad example. This one, the Guard City St. George to Honingville, whatever trains are available in this depot that are ungrouped, I'll add them in the order that they're available. So you can see here we've got 319s, we've got 315s, I think these are. And then even down here we've got 319s in different livery. And then in this depot we've got, actually, are these 315s? Oh, you're 305s. But yeah, whatever we've got, the first train that's available will get added to that service. Because again, yeah, we were doing that thing where I'd be buying a train, doing the orders, and then I'll just be cloning that one train. And I like the idea of mixing and matching, because it really does add that element of realism again. TransPennine runs from Manchester Airport to Cleethorpes, is always class 185, so is Hull to Manchester. I suppose timetable-wise it is, but it's like Thameslink only have class 700s now, and Southeastern on the high speed one only have class 395s, whereas if there was a problem with TransPennine and the 185s couldn't run that day, they've got the Nova 1s, the Nova 2s and the Nova 3s that could potentially fill in, depending on what route it is, of course, because I think it's the Nova 2s are electric only, whereas the 1s and 3s are bi-mode. In fact, the 2s might be bi-mode as well, thinking about it. I can't remember the specs now. So yeah, there's lots of flexibility here, which is something that I really want to explore more in this series now, is rolling stock flexibility and literally just having mixing and matching. And we kind of did that to an extent a few weeks ago when we added the GWR services back in, because the Airport Express one was originally going to be HSTs, but then I noticed that we had, where is it? I always lose it. We had, why is there never one when I need one? One of these. Loco hauled. I think this is the right one. Yes. So this runs from the airport to GSP and back again. And, okay, we've got like a small fleet now of, is it 8 of these? There's no way we needed 8 of these. How the hell did I just believe that when it said it? Look at the queue as well. That's the problem. It's creating the queue. Actually, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to get this set up to fix it tonight. I'm just going to let the game run overnight and sort all this out. But yeah, we're going to mix and match a lot of stuff. We're going to try and like zhizh it up as much as possible. The only areas really on this map that will have consistent rolling stock are the high speed, the trans rapid, and the overground and underground of Guard City. Everything else pretty much is going to be mix and match for this stage. As we go through the eras, we'll start to have a bit more consistency. But I really do like the idea of just going random with it and seeing what we get. I think that's a really cool way of doing it. But yeah, I'm going to start wrapping up, guys. So 2.5 hours. That's not a bad length for a stream. I do apologise for the buffering. I know I got quite frustrated by it. I wasn't getting frustrated with you guys though. It's just technology in general. When things don't work and it doesn't tell you why, it's just so annoying. But it looks like we've gotten through it, and hopefully next week I'll make sure it doesn't happen. I'll try to make sure it doesn't happen. I have no power over it, but we'll see. Which vehicle has the highest and lowest profit in your M? Oh boy, I don't think we can accurately calculate it right now. Reason being is actually oh no, I was about to say technically my trains are profitable right now, but they're not. So we're losing a lot of money. Current usage is only 18%, so that needs to come up. If I organised it by lifetime profit, so my most profitable are my freight trains, as you can see, and actually freight is one of the next things I'm going to get back running. Got some APTs here. We've got a lot of passenger trains. These are the great... Actually, no, these are the cross-country ones, I think. Cross-region? Oh, no, you are the Great Eastern ones. And then, yeah, freight trains. But if we go to the worst, we got these little things. Which, we are going to make these profitable soon. Because when we start running them again, I think they'll just instantly generate money. Plus, there's a lot of freight trains here that are losing money too. How ironic, just buffered. Perfect. Yeah, we're tanked in the red zone. Alright, I'm going to start wrapping things up now then, because otherwise I'll just be sat here tearing my hair out all night. Thank you guys for coming in and watching. Thank you for the chat as well, it's always appreciated. I know I might question a few things here and there, but ultimately there's a reason why I do that, even if it's not immediately obvious. And like I said, sorry for the buffering. It really does wind me up. Because I know at the end of the day I'm not making a good stream because of it, and it's really frustrating. But next week I'll do my utmost to make sure it doesn't happen. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks Dylan for coming in. So who was here? Thanks to Ben. Thanks to James. Thanks to George. Thanks to Dylan. Thank you to Pokemon Master as well. It's always nice to see you guys back and engaging. The Patreon stuff, as I said, if you want to support me on Patreon and get a rail franchise and things like that, it's entirely up to you, but I do very much appreciate anyone who does choose to do that. And the big announcement, I forgot the big announcement. So the big announcement is tomorrow evening, I don't know what time yet, I think I'm meeting with the guys to discuss it, but tomorrow sometime, the M4J store will officially be launching on the XVI website. So I'll be writing a blog post about it on my site. I'll also be writing a blog post about it on the XVI site. If you don't follow XVI on social media, be sure to do so. Facebook and Twitter both are available. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's at XV Interactive on Twitter, and then Facebook it's just XVision Interactive. But I'll set it up so every time a new item goes live on the store, it will get posted on social media. So you guys will be able to check it out. There will be M4J Network merchandise available for sale in the near future. It won't be ready for tomorrow, but it will be ready for the near future. So I need to design logos and stuff to go on it. But there will be M4J stuff. So if you are interested in that kind of thing as well, be ready to check that out. And also stay tuned to my website tomorrow to see the blog post and my social media, of course, because it will be going live there too. But yeah, thanks for coming in, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. And, of course, if you enjoyed the series. I totally understand if you hit the dislike button on this one, though, because it was a bit of crap. Drop some comments down below. I always forget that one. Drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes and all the rail link ideas that you have as well. Be sure to drop those down. Like I said, I'm looking for ideas now for how to expand the network. So feel free to suggest. Besides that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. Sub count has steadily increased over the last couple of weeks, so I'm very happy with that. And one last thing, what is more complex, freight or passenger? The answer is passenger, because freight I tend to do A to B and not much else at the moment, although I will be changing that again in the near future as well, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, thanks for watching guys, and until next time, I will see you soon.